Hi, my name's Jimmie. I'm an addict. My sobriety date is April 6, 2014. So today's 11 years. That might be the first time I've said that today. That kind of got me. Go figure. Me, cry. I don't know. I'm not going to get into the whole what happened then. I used, I dealt, I did too much, a lot. Stayed up for days on end. Pretty much the same story we all have. I had people, coming in to my house, strangers I didn't even know, obviously. And had people, stealing from me, using me, whatever. I was not a good drug dealer. I did not make money. I gave stuff away for free all the time. The people that I wanted to stay in my life, the people that were quote unquote friends, they were leaving because they were coming to this thing called CMA. I wasn't there yet. I can remember, when I was still using, my best friend at the time, every weekend we'd say, this is the last weekend we're going to do it. Cut to the next weekend, and we were there doing it again and saying the same thing again for like a year and a half. He got here first. He was celebrating 4 months and asked me to come to be moral support. And that's all I thought I was doing. I was coming to be moral support. I would get my friend back because he kind of cut me off. And go figure, I got here and he still kind of blew me off. But I still came to the meeting. I listened to his story. I heard every awful part that was mine of his story, which was a lot. And I heard a lot of hope within this room. Because it was out in the lobby still then. And but I was smart. I sat by the door so I could make that quick beeline exit if I had to. I didn't get that chance at the end of the meeting. Well, at the midway point, go around and introduce yourself. Your clean time got to me. Hi, my name's Jimmie. I guess this is day one. Everybody clapped. I got a chip. I was like, this is kind of cool. But I still didn't know that I was going to come back. And, after the meeting, big bear of a guy comes up to me. You look like you need a hug. And I sure as hell did because I gotten the shit beat out of me by somebody the night before for their own enjoyment. And I let them because that's how bad my addiction was. And it was the best hug I think I've ever gotten in this room in my life, quite honestly, just because it was everything I needed and then some. And that followed by another hug and another hug. And, I had a swarm of people around me because I was a newcomer. And that's what happens at these meetings when you're a newcomer, which is awesome. And as soon as I was able to back out of that and that attention wasn't on me, I shot out that door like a son of a bitch. But I had this amazing person that I didn't know was watching me the entire time, who ran out that door and said, keep coming back. At that point, I was already at the corner, and I was heading to the trains. I was getting out of Dodge. And I spun on a dime, walked back to him, and in 30 seconds, not even, I had his phone number, the CMA helpline phone number, the Philly CMA website, the Crystal Meth Anonymous website. I had everything I needed to get to my next meeting. And I did come back. It took me probably about 3 or 4 days because I kept screwing the schedule up. But I did come, and I eventually, about 30 days in, got a sponsor, started doing step work, and was coming to meetings. My sponsor was like 90 meetings, 90 days. I'm like, can't do that. I don't have work right now. I'm waiting for disability. It's going to take 4 years, unfortunately. And he said, do you want to sponsor and do you want to get sober? I said, yeah. He said, then this is what you're going to do. My 1990 might have costed me over $600 in transit fees, but I fucking did it every goddamn day. I made it to a meeting every day because that's what I was told to do. I learned really quickly, if you follow the instructions and follow the suggestions, you can survive and you can get clean and you can get sober. And if nothing else, I was a really good follower. And, that sponsor, we were working together for about 6 months. I was coming up on my fourth step, and we had to part ways. I got my next sponsor, who was perfection for me. He got me, I got him. And we did 4 through 12, did the traditions, went back. We were going back through again, doing the steps again, another round. And we were together probably about 3.5 years-ish. And he decided to forget everything he knew, and one night relapsed. And all of a sudden, I don't have a sponsor anymore. I don't have that sponsor anymore. And I was in the middle of losing my house. I was like, I'm not getting a sponsor in Philly because I'm not going to be nearby. And so I did, a temporary sponsor for a while. And sadly, he relapsed. I must have had a curse over me at that point. As Chip will remember me saying many times, I am so cursed for a sponsor. But I went 51 weeks without a sponsor. I don't suggest it ever. But I made sure I wasn't going to go to a full year. I got my sponsor at week 51. I have a sponsor over in New Jersey in another program. I had done the AA step work two and a half times. At that point, I wanted to try the NA step work because I heard it was so so detailed and in depth. So I have an NA meeting 2 blocks from my house. I don't drive. It was perfection. So I started going there and got an NA sponsor. We've been together for about 6, going on 7 years now. And, it's everything that shouldn't work, but for us it works. He has less time than me. He's straight, married, kids, the whole 9 yards, but we totally click. We get it. It's awesome because I get to help him. He gets to help me a lot. And, we have this great relationship. When I was still coming to meetings here in Philly, and I knew losing the house was coming, it just wasn't there yet, but I knew it was coming, and I knew that I was going to be leaving the area. I needed to find a way to stay attached to CMA, because I knew if I was over in Jersey, there wasn't CMA where I was. I'm in South Jersey. There's CMA in North Jersey. So I was in a meeting and somebody said, hey, the helpline is looking for volunteers. See me after the meeting. So I did. They put me in touch with the helpline coordinator, and I started working helpline shifts. I did Saturday nights. I did Monday afternoons. So either got you on your way out, on your way back in if you were relapsing. And I loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. I started on the helpline probably about 2 years sober. I still work on the helpline today. I eventually became the helpline coordinator. I did that for 2, 4, 6, I think close to 8 years. I don't remember. It was the best job I ever had because I got to be that person that you did your surrender with if you were calling for that need. And there's nothing more gratifying than that moment. Where I can pass this gift along. I heard a lot when I came in the rooms over and over and over again. It was drilled in. Service keeps you sober, service keeps you sober, service keeps you sober. And I knew I wanted to stay sober. So let's get into service. I was H&I chair here for a year. I didn't know what I was doing. I still didn't. I still have a hard time with that one. But, being on the helpline, Philly was hosting the Dermal Service Conference that year. I was asked to be a part of the PINO breakout group and given voting rights, and that kind of sealed the deal for me. Being at a conference was the most amazing thing I needed or ever wanted to have experienced, especially in, where my home fellowship was the ones that were putting it on. I remember going home on the train that day. All I could think of was I want to go back and start it all over again because it was just all that. And, as things progressed, it was after that conference I became helpline coordinator. And I guess probably 2 years after that, I'm sorry, I was elected onto the board of trustees for the board for Crystal Meth Anonymous. I served for 6 years. I've just ended that term December 31st. It was a great experience. If you ever get the opportunity, do it, because these things don't happen on their own. And I've stayed a lot of my services in PINO. I also do a lot with communications with the website for Crystal Meth Anonymous. I do some of the work here on Philly's website, mostly just keeping the meetings up to date because I am the registrar for CMA, national and international, I guess actually. But so, I've just had CMA has given me so many opportunities to find the person I wanted to be. Growing up, I didn't want to be a doctor. I didn't want to be president. God help me. I didn't want to be, and that's not anything about the current administration. I am not functional that way. I didn't want to be something grand. I didn't want to be something big. I just want to be somebody that helped people and made a difference. I didn't know that I was going to have to completely trash my life, rebuild it, and that's when I found out how to actually do that, and did it without a college degree. Thank you very much. There's nothing like it once you find it. It works really well. This year's been odd because I'm not on the board for the first time in a long time. But, I'm currently the vice chair of PINO, which is great. And I get to do a lot of fun things still with all that. But, it's having gone through what we all go through and then finding a way to turn it all around and make it something positive. I've been asked a lot of times, if you could go back and if you could get in a time machine and go back, would you change any of it? Would you take away the addiction? My answer is always no, because if I didn't go through that, I couldn't be who I am now. And not that the person I was before addiction was bad. He was pretty goddamn good. He knew who he was. He had a job. He had a career, all that fun stuff. And that's fine. And if that were the case, totally great. But I kind of like who I am now. I kind of like the person that I get to be today and how I get to show up in my world. And a lot of that's from doing the step work. For me, steps 1, 2, and 3, they were kind of easy. I walked in here, I knew I was done. I knew there was nothing left for me to do with that drug. Step 4, I had heard a lot of people in the room sharing about how, oh my God, it was so traumatic, it was so this, it was so that. So in my mind, I'm thinking, this is going to be hard. But I'm also thinking, everything's going to change at that point. And that's what happened. I can say sections 1, 2, and 3 on my first 4 step. I think I wrote in under 30 minutes, completely. Took a little bit more time with resentments and stuff, but that's okay. Step 5 was emotional. It was a lot. But again, I had that sponsor that I clicked with that made things okay. And I will say I've had 4 sponsors technically. I've always picked the right person for the right time. And it's really important to do that and make sure you have the right person. Because if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And if it's not feeling right, you got to get out. Because that's what a really smart person in this program told me when I had a problem with one of mine. He said, you got to go. He said, you got to make the move. And it might have taken me 2 months to do it, but I did it eventually. And, yeah, I know, Chip, stop. And, shit. But anyway, But yeah, no, 5 and 6, it was kind of like, okay, like it's out there, it's open. I was really honest. I didn't leave much out. I don't think I left anything out. Actually, on the first one, it was pretty good. And 6, dealing with it and kind of reconciling it, and that, okay, we got there too. And then the rest just kind of went. And then 10 was, unfortunately, I hate to say it, it was really easy. I had like 4 people on my list because I might have been a dirtbag dealer and all that stuff and a junkie, but I was still pretty honest, and I pretty much owned my shit back then even. And it was more just because I wanted you to like me. I didn't want you to walk away hating me. So I'd admit anything I did, and I wasn't even the dealer that put the thumb on the scale. I was honest. So I didn't have a lot of wreckage to clean up there. And then I got to 12, and I was like, oh shit, we get to give it back. And, I remember the first time somebody asked me to sponsor them, and I was like, let me get back to you on that, because I had no idea whether I was supposed to say yes or no. My sponsor wanted me to do it, but I was like, I don't know if I want to do this yet. And I did it. I said yes. Did the first few work out? Absolutely not, because guess what? Sometimes they don't. But when I finally found my way, my flow of doing it, and the way I needed to sponsor and show up for people, the right sponsees came into play, and getting to do, a 4th step and a 5th step and a 6th step with the sponsee is amazing, because if nothing will bring you closer than that ever. I have always had great sponsee families. And it was really important for me when I became a sponsor and started sponsoring a lot of people to keep building those sponsee families. And I've got to say, I've had some of the best. I can even say in Philly CMA at some point, a couple of times I've heard people were a little envious of my sponsees because of this family thing we have. If you don't have it, find it. Most of us are, I still have some of of the last group of my sponsees, the first one I have is still with me today. I've had some sponsees, it's been for 4 or 5 years. And I love that experience. This past fall, I got to officiate the wedding of one of my sponsees and a former grand sponsee. An experience I never expected to have in my life, and was so blessed to have it. And, life, things come when you need them to come. I didn't know, coming into this, my brother is also an addict and an alcoholic. And I'm going to say it was probably right around 2.5, 3 years clean, and got the call that he'd had a massive stroke. Well, we didn't really know what it was at first. It turns out he had a massive stroke. He lived out in the country. We don't know how long he was down for. There's partial paralysis. There's basically a lot of brain damage, but he can actually live on his own. He just has a lot of help coming in to help him with it. But being able to, when I lost my house, move back home and help my mother, who is now 90 years old, take care of her. At that point, I think he was in like 65-ish year old son, and be there to help her with that. And then we moved him to a condo that he bought, and we bought for him, or we bought with his money, whatever you want to call it. And then about 6 months later, 1:00 in the morning, my mother had a stroke. Luckily, it was not as bad, and she has full function, but I still get to be there every day and show up for her and give back to her everything that she gave to me. When you start to be able to look at life and see that everything that we go through, we get to come back around, and, for the times I might have been a little absent, whatever, my family did not really know about my addiction, thank God. But to be able to be present and do those living amends, whether they even know they have them, is a beautiful gift. So I will end with this really quick, and I'm not going to quote that one because I don't like quoting other people. If somebody says, hey, do you want to help with a committee? Just fucking do it. It's Markma, Pino, H&I, whatever. Just get involved. Let something start the ball rolling for you. That's how it happened with me. And just let it roll. Just go with it. Don't put borders on it. Don't lock yourself into a box. Let it take you. Let the adventure take you where it's going to take you. Just don't pick the fuck up because it's not worth it. I can tell you for 11 years, I've not once had a craving. I've not had an urge. I've not wanted to. I've not been tempted to. One time somebody called me and offered me at 90 days. I said no, and I hung up the phone and I threw up. That was it. That's the worst it got. And I was like, okay, we can do this. We said no at 90 days. What do I have to do about that? So yeah, just don't pick up. Get involved, get functional, and let this become your family because God knows it sure as hell was for me. Is for me, excuse me. And with that, I think I'm done. So thank you very much.
All right. Well, we're about to go